Is if I'm buying anything for my needs, it's fine because needs are something which you cannot forego. But if I'm going to buy something for my wants, then in that case I'm going to invest the similar kind of money in either the stock of that company or similar kind of company, or at least invest in some place. So let's say if I'm buying an iPhone, which I actually, for me as a content creator, it's a need. But let's say if I'm talking about in a general perspective, it is sometimes my want as well, because maybe I don't need the, let's say, iPhone 15 Pro Max with 1 TB. But if I'm investing, let's say, in this kind of device, I should also think about investing the similar kind of amount into the stock of Apple, or not only Apple, let's say any index fund, or let's say even a fixed deposit or anything like that. Because if I have this mindset, if I don't have to buy any specific thing and it's only my adrenaline that is asking me to buy this thing, I have to again think about, if I can actually invest this, let's say 6,000 dirhams of iPhone, then I have to invest 6,000 dirhams worth of money into some kind of investment platform. Then I might be resisting to buy such kind of thing. And not only that, let's say if I'm going to buy a car, and car is my, let's say, need. But if I'm buying a car, if I'm buying a, you can say, Land Cruiser, that is costing me 300,000 dirhams, and at the same time I can buy, let's say, an Xterra, which is I don't know how much, let's say 120, 130,000 dirhams, whatever. The difference between my need and want is there. So my want is Land Cruiser, and my need is a small car. So the delta I can invest somewhere. So if somebody start thinking like that, they will automatically resist buying expensive stuff which is only for their wants, and going to buy those things which are for their needs. So this is my kind of I'm also sometimes people asking me how to go about it, so I tend to tell them about such kind of things.
Well, first, let me go back to the idea. It's simple, but not necessarily easy.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it requires to have some systems in place. And by the way, when I say systems, I always like to keep willpower out of the way, because willpower never works, right?
Hmm.
I mean, willpower, you could tap into it maybe once or twice, but then it gets into the way. So basically, what I like to do is, as like I said, automate, take that part as soon as
Right.
your salary hits
Right.
your account. It's there, it's gone.
Right.
It went for the saving part. Now, going back to your question, saving enough or saving by itself is not enough, because the thing is, when you save money in the bank, even let's say if you're getting interest or profit or whatever that is on that money, it won't keep up with inflation.
Hmm.
And maybe let us real quick explain inflation for those who don't understand it. Inflation is like, this specific phone used to cost, say, 2,500 dirhams a couple of years ago. Now it's 3,000. And in a simple, in an equal manner, a chocolate bar would cost, let's say, or you used to cost 10 dirhams last year. This year now it's costing 12 dirhams. So that small increase in the price is inflation. So that means the money today has a lower buying power than it used to have, say, a year or a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So this over time basically eats up the buying power of your money. So basically, in order to keep up with inflation, you need to invest your money. And by investing, we mean that you need to make that money work for you instead of you working for that money. And like we said, what are the possibilities of someone just like you and me, who is not a financial guru? I'm sure I'm not, and
Yeah, yeah.
probably
Same
you're
for me.
not.
Yes.
So we're just like maybe financial
Studying actually.
exactly. So we're just trying to learn about personal finance and whatnot. So for someone who doesn't understand anything about finance, the easiest thing to invest in, and by the way, before we get to that, let me just real quick cover the three major pillars, if you will, of passive income. So passive income, which is money that is passively made without me having to work for it. So we have three major sources of passive income. Number one is obviously real estate. And in example, if I buy a property and I rent it out, so the rent that I'm receiving at the end of each month or at the end of each quarter or whatever, so this is passive income, because once I rent the property out, I no longer have to wait to work for it. The second passive income, or the second source of passive income, is actually the stock market or the financial markets in
Mhm.
general. So basically by buying stocks or shares in companies, and then you have dividends or the stock price appreciates, and that kind of provides you with some sort of passive income. And the third option is basically to have some sort of a business that is self-sustaining. And now let me explain a little bit. By business, not every business is considered to be a source of passive income. For example, if I'm a consultant and I need to work 40 hours or 50 hours per week to to bring in money, it's no longer a passive income.
Yes.
But however, if I, for example, own a restaurant and then I have a restaurant manager and a cook and the chef and whatnot and the waiters and working for me, so I don't really have to be in the restaurant, and then it continues generating passive income. Maybe I have to stop once or twice a year to check the books and whatnot, but in a sense this is passive income. So going back to what the practical person or the someone who's not into any of this, how can he or she start his or her investment journey? I would say what I found that actually worked for me is basically to invest in low-cost index funds. And maybe let us real quick explain what index funds are for the audience. Index funds are it's basically when you invest. Let me maybe take a step back here. When you invest in a company, let's say, I don't know, Microsoft or Apple, since we mentioned Apple before. So you buy shares of Apple, so you become a shareholder in the company, right?
Yeah.
So you get a small portion of the profits that are made by Apple, and they get distributed to you as dividends. So by owning a share or multiple shares of Apple, you are owning a fractional ownership in a sense in that company. Now the the complexity in this is, which company do I need to buy? Should I buy Apple because I believe it's a good company, or should I buy BMW, or should I buy Johnson and Johnson? It's hard. I mean, for the regular person, even for the professionals, it's hard to guess which company is gonna do right. And many people make that mistake. Oh, I think that Apple is a good company, so I think investing in Apple is a good thing. Not necessarily.
Or the company's shares are fallen now, it's a good time to buy.
Exactly. So the thing is, nobody can time that correctly.
Yes.
Even the professionals cannot do this correctly. However, if we buy the entire stock market in the form of an index fund, let's think of it as a basket that has pretty much everything. All the companies, all the stocks, all the shares of the companies are included in that basket, and you just buy the entire basket. And over time, historically speaking, we've seen that this basket returns pretty much around 10% per year over the long term. Not every year, not every single year. Some cases, the market dips. In some cases, it returns much more than 10%. But the thing is, over the long term, it has been consistent in a way. Over the long term, the average income or the average returns of the stock market has been 10%. So basically, by buying this basket, you are pretty much tapping into all the stocks. You're buying everything without you having to do any research, and it gets the guesswork. So basically, it takes the guesswork out of the equation. And
Okay.
the way we do this is by simply opening a trading account in one of the we call them stockbrokers, and you just buy. I mean, as expats in the Middle East, or as people living in the Middle East in general, or as non-Americans, the only available way for us to tap into that basket, as we called it, or the index fund, is buying what we call ETFs, or exchange traded funds. So it's as simple as opening an account in one of the stockbrokers, and then you buy basically one or two of these baskets, and that's pretty much everything you need to do. And you just keep adding money each and every month, or whenever you have money to put aside, you just buy the exact same basket over and over and over again. And in 20 years' time, I can guarantee that you will retire with more money than you ever thought possible.
Yeah.